my fellow South Africans. I'd like to welcome you all to this historic gathering. I have called this first national convention in my capacity as your president, as the head of state. I do so in line with Section 83 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. This gives me a locus standi. For all of us who are here, we are all equal. But it gives me locus standi because I happen to be the state president. So Section 83 of our Constitution requires that the president, as the head of state and the head of the national executive, should promote the unity of the nation and that which will advance the Republic of South Africa and its people. This is what brings me here. And this is why I invited all of you to be here and to be part of this dialogue. So it is with that authority, if anyone were to ask you. I should thank everyone who is here today for accepting this invitation. I am truly humbled and very touched that all of you have heeded this invitation and have come through to this meeting so that we can have a dialogue. You have traveled from many parts of our country, in fact, from all parts of our country, to be here. This is a true honor to me as your president. It is a true honor to all of us, to each one of us. We should feel honored. Today marks the first sitting of the National Convention of the National Dialogue, a space where we confront our realities openly, respectfully and constructively. This is not a partisan platform. This is a national platform. Here, no voice is too small. No perspective is too inconvenient to be heard. We are gathered to listen to each other, to understand one another, and to chart a common path forward for our country. We are meeting at a time of profound challenges that confront our country and our people. Economic hardships that our people are living under, unemployment that continues to rise, inequality that besets our people, growing poverty, and a crisis of confidence in our institutions. We also meet at a time when the world is rapidly changing and our own ability to adapt and renew ourselves will define the next generation. But history teaches us that nations are not defined solely by their difficulties. Nations are defined by how they respond to the challenges that confront them. Our own struggle for freedom from the nightmare of apartheid proved that unity in diversity is not an abstract slogan. History teaches us that Unity is a powerful force for change, for transformation. Gathered in this hall today are people from all across our land, people from all walks of life, people of all races, of all classes, all languages and cultures. Gathered here at this national convention are farmers, are informal traders, civic activists, policymakers, traditional leaders, waste pickers, industrial workers, the unemployed men and women of our country, the unemployed young people, unemployed graduates, eminent religious leaders, business people, and public servants like me. There are also young people and older people like me, men and women, people from informal settlements and rural villages. There are people with disabilities amongst us. There are survivors of various forms of violence. There are artists, there are sports people, and cultural activists. In this national convention is gathered the rich diversity of the people of this country. Yet, although we are different in many ways, although we represent different experiences and memories and hold different views, there is one thing that we have in common. And that one thing that we have in common is that we are South Africans. We are, each one of us, sons and daughters of the same soil, the South African soil. Whether people like it or not, we are sons and daughters of the soil, of Mzansi. This is where we come from. So we share a common past, but we also share a common destiny. We share the same inheritance of division, of inequality, of pain, and of injustice. We share the same pride at ending the crime of apartheid and establishing a constitutional democracy. We also share a common future. That future binds us together. And that is why we have chosen to gather here today. Because each one of us, regardless of our differences, is committed to working together to build this future that we all dream of. We have chosen to be here, voluntarily chosen that we will gather here as South Africans. We've chosen to be here because we believe in the power of dialogue and united action. A dialogue, by the way, is not a new phenomenon amongst us as South Africans. We have always dialogued to solve the most intractable problems that have confronted our country. We gathered together, and let me add that even as dialogues have happened in our country, there have been moments where others chose not to participate. There have been moments when others said, no, what is this all about? We are not going to be part of it. Now, I will tell you a story which I hope will not embarrass one of those who told me the other time, and is the leader of the Pan-Africanist Congress. He's here. He serves in my cabinet. And as we were preparing for the dialogue, he said to me, President, we as the Pan-Africanist Congress, we have always historically refused to participate in various dialogues. We were not there in Cliptown. They call it Cliptown, when the Freedom Charter was drafted. We were not there when there was a dialogue to end violence in our country. We were not there when the Constitution was drafted, when there was that broad dialogue. And he said, we feel that our voice, our views were not heard. And he said, this time round, Aibo, we are going to participate. We are going to be part of it. So there are those who are standing outside, who are saying we are not going to participate, and we grant them that freedom. But one day, they will be like the PAC. They will realize that they should have been part of the dialogue. Because dialogue is about bringing people together, getting all of us to speak together, not to speak at each other, and not to talk away from each other. It should involve talking together. We believe that if we share our concerns and our fears, we can conquer them. If we understand the challenges we face, we can overcome them. If we know what hurts us, we can heal. If we know what divides us, we can unite. We gather here today in all our diversity to launch a national dialogue. We are embarking on a process that will launch 1 million conversations amongst our people. Now, this is a great honor, to be able to instigate conversations amongst our people. All of us seated here must see ourselves as being truly honored that today we get to sit here and we are launching a process that will involve conversations of millions of people, 10 million people. But in the end, I see this conversation going way beyond the 10 million people who might participate. It will encompass many more millions of people in our country. This is truly a historic moment. Across the length and the breadth of South Africa, people will and must meet to talk of what worries them, what gives them hope, and how they think their lives and our country can be better. We all agree that our country is not where it ought to be. We all agree that there are many things that are broken in our country. Getting together, talking to each other, we should be able to find solutions on how we can put many of the things that are broken in our country together. This initiative is about what all South Africans must do together to make our lives and our country better. It is also about getting leaders to be able to realize what worries South Africans and how leaders themselves can be engaged in understanding the lives of South Africans and be accountable. And to look, yes, as my sisters were saying here, to look behind and see whether there are still people who are following them. Through this process, we want our people to meet in homes and community halls. We want them to meet in churches, in synagogues, in mosques and temples. Our people must meet in schools and lecture halls, in boardrooms and on the shop floor, on the pathways of our villages and the streets of our townships and our cities. We will meet online. We will be tech-savvy. As many South Africans are already tech-savvy, I found out during COVID. Our South Africans know technology. They are way ahead. They know technology. When we started distributing the 350, I tell you, it was through technology that they were able to immediately snap it. Even though they say, hi, Ramaphosa, Otanda, O Mahlalela. They did it through technology. So we will meet online. We will call into radio stations. We will debate on television. Yes, there will be many television shows. We will share our views and make our suggestions without hesitation. And we will be direct and honest. And we will need to have difficult conversations about many issues, including why do South African women have to live in fear of the men of our country? This is Women's Month, and I'm glad that these conversations should start this month, that we as the men of South Africa must begin to internalize this question. Why do the women of South Africa fear us as men in the streets, in the classrooms, and even in our homes? We need to ask ourselves those questions. We also need to ask ourselves, why do so many people live in abject poverty and so few live lives of opulence? Why, after decades of democracy, are the prospects of a white child so much better than those of a black child? We need to ask ourselves that. We also need to ask ourselves, why do women get paid less than men for the same work? That's what we need to ask ourselves. Now, we also must go deeper and ask ourselves, why, when we have a Bill of Rights in our Constitution, are the LGBTQI plus people still discriminated against? Why are they still stigmatized and harassed? Why do clinics run out of medicine? Are questions that we must ask ourselves. And why do taps run dry? These are some of the questions that we must be willing to ask and which we must be prepared to find answers for. But more than that, my fellow South Africans, these are the challenges that we must be ready to do something about. As individuals, as organizations, as communities, as parents, as elected representatives, and as public officials. The national dialogue is a call to debate and to discuss, but it is also much more than that. More importantly, the national dialogue is a call to action. It is a call to all South Africans to seize this moment for change and progress. And this we cannot do when we are sitting on the sidelines. This we cannot do when we do not want to be part of this conversation. And this we cannot do when we sit on the sidelines and just criticize. We need to be inside the tent rather than being outside of the tent. And we also need to have one tent. We do not need another tent where other conversations will take place. This is the real tent where conversation must take place. Now, it is a call to build a society in which there is a place for everyone, where the country's wealth is shared by all. A South Africa that truly belongs to all the people who live in it. We have come together in this national convention not to have the dialogue, but to start the dialogue. Gathered here, all of us together, we are well over 1,200 or 300 across many organizations and sectors. Our task is to prepare for the thousands of public dialogues that will happen in communities across the country over the next 6 to 8 months. We are here to consider some of the themes that may arise in those discussions, understanding that it is ultimately the people of this country that will determine the issues that should be discussed. And this is what we call citizen-centered dialogues and discussions. We are here to reflect on how we should approach these public dialogues, what methods we should use to ensure that everyone has a say and that the discussions take place in an environment that promotes understanding and that encourages healing. Through this convention, we seek to equip delegates to be champions and enablers of these public dialogues. We seek to ensure that we give the space to South Africans to define the outcome of the national dialogue process, so that those thousands of conversations can be drawn into a clear vision for the country and an agreed program of action into the future. There is history to this. When we drafted our constitution, and I'm glad that Roelf Meyer, who played a pivotal role together with some who are here, including myself, is here today, because we participated in the process of ensuring that as we drafted the Constitution, we involved many of our people throughout the country to discuss the key elements that should go into our Constitution. And today, the Constitution that we have is a people-driven and a people-drafted Constitution. That is what we have. Now, through the national dialogue process, we hope to arrive at a social compact that will outline the role and the responsibility of all of us as citizens, as the arms of the state, business, labor, traditional leaders, religious bodies, civic organizations, activists, and various other social structures. This national dialogue must be about citizens taking responsibility for their own future. Through the dialogues that will take place, people must be able to attend to the challenges that we are facing, where they live, where they study, where they work. They must be able to hold their public representatives accountable and ensure that all public institutions fulfill their responsibilities. The National Convention is the moment at which the people of South Africa take over the national dialogue. For more than a year, various formations of civil society have been working to conceptualize and champion the national dialogue. Central to this effort have been a number of legacy foundations established by and named for stalwarts of our liberation struggle. we express our gratitude and appreciation for the work of these foundations in giving life to the national dialogue. And let's give them a round of applause for having done all this work. Now, we also thank all those from civil society, government departments, provincial government, state-owned enterprises, and businesses who have worked tirelessly to bring this national convention together. I specifically like to say at government level, the Deputy President, Paul Mashatile, who is here with us today, led this process in the interministerial committee that I gave him the responsibility to lead. And he, from a government point of view, led this process from the back, allowing the process to evolve independently without too much government interference. To the extent that government got involved, if you like, it was light touch. Kancane nje, lapho nalapho. It was never led by the government. It was just mbijana, lapho nalapho kuphela. That's how it worked. Because we held the belief that this must be citizen-led. And today we are pleased that we are going to elect or choose a steering committee which will be a citizen-composed steering committee. And to the extent that, yes, we will be involved, it will just be to give it that little bit of support, logistical support, financial support. And let me talk about the finances, because there was this concern that this dialogue is going to cost 740 million rand. As soon as I saw the number, I said, I shall not allow the taxpayers' money that amounts to 740 million rand to be utilized. We can have this dialogue much cheaper, much lower. Costs must be the order of the day. That is what we did. And you know what? We were very fortunate. The University of South Africa, the Vice Chancellor, the good professor, immediately said, you know what, to cut off all those costs, we'll give you this beautiful venue for free. And now we got it for free. Now, that is exactly what we are going to seek to do. We will be going around the country. We will desist from hiring halls, expensive halls in hotels, and so on. We will want to hold the various dialogues in schools. We'll hold it in churches, not in beer halls, no. And we will hold them under the tree and all that. So that is how we are going to bring the cost down, because the people of South Africa do not want us to be spending too much money on the conversations that we are going to have. Of the eminent persons group, all of whom graciously and enthusiastically accepted my invitation to serve as the champions and guarantors of the national dialogue. These esteemed South Africans are Dr. Brigelia Bam, former Independent Electoral Commission chairperson, who accepted this role. Mr. Robbie Brozen, entrepreneur and business person. Judge Edwin Cameroon. I think we'll applaud them all together when I finish. Otherwise, you're going to be very tired. Judge Edwin Cameroon, former Constitutional Court judge. Mr. Mani Dipicho, former Northern Cape Premier, Dr. Desiree Ellis, Banyana coach and football legend. I knew you wanted to applaud her. Ms. Ella Gandhi, peace activist and stalwart. Ms. Nomboniso Gasa, researcher and rural activist. Mr. Bobby Gotzel, a business leader, particularly in the mining industry. Dr. John Kani, award-winning actor. I knew you would applaud that. But he's not going to act on stage today. Mr. Siya Kolisi, Springbok captain and world champion. Miss Mia Leroux, Miss South Africa 2024. His Grace, Bishop Barnabas Lekhanyane, leader of the Zion Christian Church. And His Grace Bishop Enganas Lekhanyane, leader of the St. Enganas Zion Christian Church. The Most Reverend Thabo Makgoba. How can the Most Reverend, I missed something, because Leana ke Bishop, ke Archbishop. The Most Reverend Archbishop Thabo Makgoba, yes, Anglican Archbishop of Cape Town. Professor Tinyiko Maluleke, who is the chairperson of the National Planning Commission. Dr. Barbara Masekela, Os Barbara, poet, educator, and stalwart. Ms. Lindiwe Mazibuko, former member of parliament. When she was in parliament, she used to give me a lot of trouble. Mr. Roelf Meyer, former minister and constitutional negotiator and a good friend. Ms. Glenwan Mhlope, storyteller, writer and actor. Ms. Nompendulo Mkaachwa, former member of parliament and fees must fall activist. Ms. Khutatso Monjane, Grand Slam tennis champion. Professor Harry Rangwedzi Nengwekhulu, former activist and educationist. Mr. Begin Chalinchali, unionist and former COSATU General Secretary. Hosi Filia Nwamitwa, traditional leader, Hosi Amin. Hosi Thabo Siatlulo, chairperson of the National House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders. Dr. Gloria Sirobe, business leader. Bishop Sitembile Sipuka, president of the South African Council of Churches. Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman, founder of the Gift of the Givers. Professor Derek Schwartz, academic. Ms. Lurato Trok, author and early literacy expert. Mr. Sibusiso Vilani, mountaineer and adventurer, those who go on to the mountains. Mr. Siabulela Buza, award-winning scientist and entrepreneur, the only South African who has a planet named after him. Now, I took the trouble to read all their names because they are the eminent persons group that I appointed on advice from a number of people, including from the PTT. These are the men and women who are going to be the champions, the guarantors, the wise minds that are going to steer this whole process forward, working together with our steering committee, working together with, yes, a management team that will be put in place, working together with the administrators and the secretariat who are NEDLAC. Now, since their appointment, the EPG, they have provided valuable guidance and support to me and to all those involved in this work. Lastly, I wish to thank all the delegates to this convention and everyone who is following these proceedings around the country. I do thank the EPG because when there was doubt on whether we should proceed with this convention today, they met and gave me counsel and gave everyone counsel who was involved and said to me, President, much as people might think that we are not entirely ready, the invitations have already gone out. Many people have already been invited. If we are to postpone this important national event, it will dampen the occasion, people will be more doubtful, trust will be lost, and they said we best continue with this dialogue. And as with all other events, there will always be gaps, there will always be shortcomings, but it is always best to press ahead and to get as much work that needs to be done. And I'm truly pleased that they gave that advice, because those who have been doing the work, the organizing committee, has pulled out all stops to make this day possible. And I'd like us to give them a round of applause. Now, all of you who are here, you have taken upon your shoulders a historic task. You have taken upon your shoulders the responsibility to launch a conversation among South Africans that will reach every corner of our country, that will determine the future of our nation. Let this national convention be a call to every South African to participate, to be heard, and to be counted. This convention should not be remembered for the fine speeches alone, but the process it begins towards a new roadmap, a framework for political stability, economic renewal, social cohesion, national unity, and how we can continue to build a capable and ethical state. We must aim to emerge from this process with a shared national vision, one that is bold enough to inspire, yet practical enough to be implemented. So let us speak with courage, without any fear. Let us listen with humility, and let us negotiate amongst ourselves with goodwill. Let us be reminded that our disagreements on any issue are small compared to the magnitude of what we can achieve working together. In the words of the Freedom Charter, which says, "The people shall govern," that governance should start here, with a dialogue that belongs to the nation. I declare the first National Convention of the National Dialogue of South Africa officially open. And may our work be guided by wisdom, your wisdom. May our work be grounded in truth and be blessed with the spirit of Ubuntu. The spirit of Ubuntu that must guide us for ourselves and for generations to come. Thank you very much for being here.